Alpaca Direct. Sorry we're a little late this morning. We just got a slow start, I guess. Anyways, we're going to be talking today about how to make our buttonholes look fantastic. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Before I go there, I wanted to talk about our winner from last week. Every week we do a contest, and our winner from last week won Baby Alpaca Grande Hues in colorway 4009. And I made a really cute garter hat, a baby hat from last week's project that I gave to little Eddie. And I thought someone would enjoy knitting with this yarn, so I gave that as a prize. And the winner for this week is Rachel Bellows, I believe. Rachel Bellew, B-A-L-L-E-W. I'm probably crucifying your name. Anyway, you're the winner from this last week's contest. And we have a new contest for this week, and it's going to be for our new Colle Flexi Tips. And what Flexi Tips do is they're kind of, let's see if I can open this up for you. It's kind of takes the place of double points. And instead of using 4 double points, you would use 2. Do you see how they bend in the middle? And they have that really nice tip on the end. And one end, if you can look right here, that tip is nice and sharp, which has the lace tip or the sock rocket tip, and this other side is more blunt, and it's the Addy Turbo tip. So whichever side you find that you need to knit on, you can change your sides. So I think it's pretty cool. These flexi tips are awesome. So that is the prize for this week. And the way that you enter to win your prize is you post in the comment section. And boy, we've had a lot of people posting, and that's fantastic. I love hearing your ideas, and I love learning from all of you out there. Matter of fact, we had one of our posters posted about knitting this cute little Classic Elite baby cardigan that I did out of the Adria Phil Knit Colle yarn. And last week I was talking about how you can alternate every other row, giving you a nice little striped effect, or you can keep it just one skein and get your solid blocks of color. Now, if you look at this really close, both sides, it doesn't exactly match up, but by making it go in every other row, you can kind of make that effect a little more subtle. And so I've almost finished this Classic Elite sweater pattern, and it is a free pattern that you can find on Ravelry, and that was a really cute baby sweater. And what I did on this one is that I had went shopping for Evie, you know, my grand baby, and they had a nice sale at Gymboree, and this is 12 to 18 months, and so I'm putting my sweater over the top so you can kind of see sizing wise. And this sweater took just 2 skeins to make it, and this is how much yarn I have left over. And I think I have enough to either accent some booties or, you know, use most of it to make some booties with. So that'll give me a little extra leftover yarn. And so if you were knitting a sweater like that for your grandchild, you could use 2 skeins probably in the first 2 sizes. Also, I wanted to tell you about this Knit Colle yarn. It's just a little trick that I learned with this yarn, and I totally love this yarn. It says on the label that you can knit it up to a size 6 knitting needle, and I found with this yarn that I have to knit on a lower, like a 5 or so on this yarn, just because I get too loose if I knit it on the 6, so my gauge doesn't look good. So just a little note there, when you're knitting with this yarn, you may have to go down a needle size to make it look beautiful. But that was a great project that I did there. And this pattern is called Stars and Stripes by Susan Mills, and I talked about it last week, and I just finished up most of it today, and I wanted to show it to you. And so I still, what else do I have to do? I basically have to put on the buttons.
Which is your topic for today.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about buttonholes today. And this one was done with a knit 2, yarn over knit 2 together. And see how my buttonholes, some of them landed in the middle of the knit stitches and some landed on the purl stitches. Now, this last week what I did is I went ahead and just did an intense study on YouTube, Ravelry, wherever I could find anything to do with buttonholes to see if I could find buttonholes that looked really great and find ones that maybe didn't look so great. So I tried to show you the ones today. The ones we're going to be talking about are going to be the ones that I like the best, okay? And it's going to be everything from a 1-row buttonhole to a yarn over knit 2 together. And one thing that I did find that I found surprising that I thought was really cool is the yarn over knit 2 together actually looks better than I thought it would when it was stood up against all the different kinds of buttonholes. Now this is my little sample. It's a huge sample here. And I've used these little, the purl bumps to identify where I'm at and what method I used on them so I can talk to you. When I'm talking to you, I know what I'm talking about. So that's what those purl bumps for me.
You may have to hold them up so they can see better.
The first one that I did here was yarn over knit 2 together, right here. And when I looked at that on stockinette stitch, you know, there is nothing wrong with that buttonhole. I thought it was structurally sound. It had no baggy stitches on either side of the hole, and it was pretty nice. And if you're using smaller buttons, so like I have these little buttons that I am going to be putting on this baby sweater here. Those are the buttons. And what I do with buttons is when I find buttons, they're having a sale at Joann's or Michael's or wherever they're having a sale on buttons. What I will do is I'll stock up and buy all different kinds of buttons that I like. So this is my bag of buttons. And I have all different small buttons from little eye buttons to whatever I think I might like, to kind of more natural, neutrally, and then maybe some bigger ones. So I buy the buttons when they're on the sale and I keep them in this bag. And then when I need buttons for a project, I will go through my bag and I can almost always find some great buttons in here. So I don't know if you guys do that. I wish I had my grandma's stash of buttons, but unfortunately she lived in Iowa and I didn't know her as well. Otherwise maybe I would have inherited some lovely buttons, but I'm not that lucky. So anyways, so I wanted to again make sure that everyone's posting in comments, and today's prize is Colle Flexi Tip needles, and I wanted our prize winner to try them out and maybe they can let us know how they like them. And Debbie Doctor told us from last week that she had actually received her 2 skeins of Rios in the mail, and I'm glad for that. I'm sure she's going to enjoy knitting with it. Yeah, so that's wonderful. That's great.
Hey, there's a question for you from Linda. She wants to know what color you used, I think, on the sweater.
I had my tag somewhere on here.
We'll have to post it then.
I'll post it. I'll post it for you. I don't actually have it in my selection today, otherwise I would show it to you, and I don't have the tag in front of me. But yes, I really like this colorway, and I love this yarn. It's machine washable merino, so it'll be something that is not too heavy for the baby. You don't have to worry about it going in the wash machine, and it is not itchy. And so I highly recommend if you want a really warm sweater for your baby, this makes really cute. And the self-striping I just think is fantastic. So anyways, back to our buttonholes. Okay, so the next one that we talked about was a simple buttonhole using a bind off and cast on over 2 rows. And this is, you can find it on YouTube by Fiona Morris Designs.
Why don't you hold it up so they can
And this is the second one, and I'm just going to hold it up with my piece of paper. And I really like this buttonhole. It's very structured. Jim, I'm just going to put that down. Okay. It's very structured. The one side leaves just a little tiny bit of a edge on it, but it's pretty darn nice.
And what's that called again?
It is done over 2 rows, and it's a simple buttonhole using a bind off and cast on over 2 rows. And when she casts on, she uses cable cast on. Okay. Now our the next one after that is This one is a 2-row buttonhole, and this is also this one right here is actually a 3-row buttonhole, and it's made over 2 rows, same way as this one. These two are the same. One is a 2-hole, one is a 3-hole. Also, when you're doing your buttonholes, you guys make sure that when you're doing your buttonholes that you actually take your button out and check it before you weave in all your ends. There would be nothing worse than going to do your buttonhole and see that fits through there nicely. And if you did the yarn over knit 2 together, I think you're stretching this buttonhole maybe a little. It goes through, but not nicely. You see how it kind of pinches the fabric. So the 2-stitch buttonhole for that size button would be pretty good. And this is under a 1 inch. It's probably a 3/4 inch button or so. But it's always good to check and make sure that your buttonholes are working. And also remember when you're doing buttonholes that they stretch out over time. So when you're putting it through there, you want it to be snug, but not so snug that it distorts the fabric. You don't want to do that. Not after all your hard work. So this next one that we're going to be talking about is from Julie from Coco Knits. And it's these two right here that I want to talk about.
Why don't you hold them up so they can see?
And they're done in 1x1 ribbing and 2x2 ribbing. Sorry, I have kitties and doggies, and they always like to help me knit. And so we get little things stuck on here. One sec, Jim. All right. So this is done. Sorry, you guys. Debris. So see how these buttonholes are done in between on the purl stitches, and if you leave them alone they almost are invisible. And then this is done over 2 stitches, these ones right here, and they're done in between the fabric.
What are those called again?
Pretty cool. Those are it's a 2-row buttonhole, and it's by Coco Knits. She tells you how to get your do your buttonholes in between on the purl stitches, so you maintain the knit stitch pattern in your ribbing, and so it looks better. So you're working them over the purl stitches, and that's from Coco Knits, and it's a 2-row buttonhole. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then there's another one that I found from Cotton and Cloud on YouTube, and this was using a crochet cast on. Do you know how we do the provisional cast on over the crochet using a crochet hook over the top of your needle, right? So you use that exact cast on to cast on your new stitches with. And boy, oh, if I could show you this.
What's it?
Okay, let me show you. Here's a 3-stitch buttonhole. It's for large buttons. But do you see how structured that is on garter stitch?
Can you hold it up this way? Okay, there you go.
Can you see it like that, Jim? Yeah. And it is, if you can see those, how structured it is, I would highly recommend having you guys look that one up. I thought that was just an awesome buttonhole. Structured on both sides, and they look exactly the same. They both look like, if you look at it really close, there's knit stitches. See the knit stitches right, maybe I can see it from, see the knit stitches right here, and then it travels around to more knit stitches, and on either side of it, it's very structured. So what I would ask you to do with this one, just look it up on YouTube. It's Buttonholes by Cotton and Cloud, and it is a 2-row buttonhole, but it's really cool. I really like it. And you could do it with 3, 2, or 1. And so for those of you out there that like to read patterns, remember that when you're doing your patterns, just because it tells you to do things a certain way, I would venture to ask you to think outside that box. think of what you're working on. If it's a huge button or what have you, and you want that sweater for a long time, think about doing those structured buttonholes and trying some different techniques. And you can even get a piece of scrap yarn and practice it. If you're not sure of how to do it at first and you don't want to ruin your project, go ahead and practice it. And there's no harm in that. Take a little time, and that extra finish work will make your project go from pretty to fabulous. And that's what we're looking for. I mean, we want people to be awestruck when they see your projects. And so think outside that box and stretch a little bit and try to learn, like I've been doing for you this week, so that I can bring what I learned to you. So I also have another buttonhole, and this is a 1-row buttonhole, and this is the pattern from my Adele cowl that you can find on www.alpacadirect.com. It's a free pattern, and what it is is reversible cables.
Here, hold it up.
It's reversible cables, and this is done with the hand paint Plymouth Grande. Very pretty, and I alternated every other row. And so if you look at this cowl up closely, it blends very nicely. There's no funny color changes that look funky because I alternated every other row. And if you look on the sides, you can't tell how that I did alternate every row. The only way you could maybe tell a little bit is if you look really close, you can see rows. But it's not really that visible, and it sure does look fantastic. So for those hand painted yarns, consider alternating skeins every other row and even out those color changes so that you don't have any weird splotches of color showing up. So this is the 1-row buttonhole, and it's by doing the E-loop cast on. And this is for a larger button.
Gotta turn it this way. Okay, there you go.
And this is the Adele cowl pattern that's free on www.alpacadirect.com. So if I put these on here, and I like this 1-row buttonhole. I thought it's pretty cool. That's why I put it in the pattern. But I really like that 1-row. It's nice. But I also am going to try that new one that I found that uses that provisional, the cast on of the stitches using the crochet hook. That's pretty cool. Anyways, here's that same 1-row buttonhole in garter stitch, and this has been used. So you can see it stretches out a little bit, but the buttonhole still has maintained its shape and it doesn't look too baggy. And they use the E-loop to cast on some stitches. So that's a great buttonhole too. Also, I wanted to remind you, please put comments in the comment section, push like if you like, and share with others. It always helps other people learn, okay? And make sure, and then you'll be entered to win the Flexi Tips. And this is a new product to Alpaca Direct. And we brought this in because there are a lot of our customers here and they just love the Flexi Tips. So we know Colle creates good quality products, and so we have brought these into our shop. So, and that's the prize today. So enter to win. Another thing that I wanted to talk to you about that I was working on, I'm sitting here going, what am I working on this week? And I not only was working on the baby sweater and different kinds of buttonholes, but I was looking at the bamboo pop. I wanted to make some washcloths and show you what those are like. And this pattern is called All Washed Up, and it is, I don't remember the person's name, it's knit by Jill Knit It, and it is found on Ravelry. It's a free pattern, and I again used my bamboo pop to make this. And what I'm doing is I'm using these new colorways, and these are the dots colorways, and I'm making reversible washcloths. So it's the same on both sides, and I wanted it to have the scrubby on both sides. And I really like this Jill Knit It pattern. And so these are about a 9x9 washcloth. And so far I'm having lots of fun with it, and let me show you how much I have left on my skein. I started a different pattern, but I'm going to take it out because I like this pattern better. And if you look at my skein, I still have a lot left. So I have knit this much on this pattern, which I'm going to go back to that pattern. But I think I'll get at least 3 washcloths. I'll have to let you know next week how this turns out and how many washcloths I actually get out of this product. And so I am really liking the bamboo for the face cloth. It's very soft and luxurious. And I think that it is almost like a spa face washcloth. And so I'm very delighted about that. So I wanted to share that with you. And then also, I was thinking, oh, one more pattern that I want to do that's in crochet. I haven't done this one yet, but it is it's in a different language. Anyway, it's by Sylvia Skostak. And this one is rebootcomania.blogspot.com. And I thought that was a nice little crocheted one. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I have the patterns right here. Anyways, I'm going to try that one, and maybe I'll let you know how that works next week. One more thing that I wanted to talk about with back to your buttonholes. Okay, so I was looking on Ravelry, and I saw some Ravelry notes about, projects that people had done. And there were several people that said, oops, I forgot to place my button, so I put it in a different spot. Okay, and so I was thinking, why not use stitch markers to put in that, while you're doing your ribbing or whatever you're doing and you're getting ready to place your actual buttonholes, why not use stitch markers where you want those buttonholes placed? I thought that was a good idea. And then if you're going to do a 2-stitch buttonhole, you could actually mark the 2 stitches that you're going to be doing so you don't accidentally put them over here when they're supposed to be here. So you can either, if you're going to do a yarn over knit 2 together, you don't have to mark the actual stitch. But if you're going to do a 2-stitch buttonhole, you want to mark the 2 stitches. And then I went even further and said, what about if I remind myself when I'm at the top of the sweater versus the bottom of the sweater? And so I thought using a different color is always a good idea. And these are your little hair bands that you buy at the discount hair supply stores. And they're super cheap, and that way if they bounce off on the floor when you're first learning how to knit, you don't have to worry about it because you get 500 in the bag. So that's pretty cool. Little tips that I have learned along the way. And again, I wanted to tell you about the winner from this last week. I wanted to make sure that she knows it's Rachel Balu, and if she can go ahead and contact us with her shipping information, we can get these 2 lovely skeins of Plymouth Grande hues. This product is no longer being made, so she will have some of the last skeins out there, so that makes it kind of special. And this is in the colorway 4009. But 2 skeins, you can do a hat and maybe not fingerless mitts, either a hat or a cowl or something like that. You would have plenty. This Adele cowl right here was done with 2 skeins, so you could easily do that pattern. And it's reversible cables, which is cool. And the Grande alpaca yarn is wonderful for around your neck. So in summary today, I learned a ton about buttonholes, how to make my buttonholes look fantastic. And I had the yarn over knit 2 together. I thought was a fantastic buttonhole, much nicer than I would have expected when it compared to all the other ones. And if you want something different and you need a lot of structure, try that one buttonhole. And let me repeat that to you again. It's the Crochet Cast On Buttonholes by Cotton and Cloud on YouTube. And the sample that I did was done over 4 stitches with the right side of the work facing. But you can look on YouTube and she tells you how to do it. So in short, I did learn a lot about buttonholes, and it's going to help me improve the look of my projects that I'm knitting when I'm knitting with buttonholes. And I hope that it improves your projects as well. So you guys go ahead and post in the comment section and let us know what you're working on. And I hope that you had a great 4th of July and you have a great upcoming week. You take care now, and I will see you next week. And I wanted to make sure and tell you that next week, what are we working on? Oh, it's how to choose colors that will look great in your wardrobe. Also, I wanted to mention to you that the Malabrigo sale is ending on the 15th. So if you have any yarns that you want to purchase them before the 15th.
And we just got a new shipment.
Yes, and we just got a new shipment in. So check for some more fabulous colors that have just arrived. And you all have a great week. It was nice talking to you. You take care now.